world. We had to keep the people free for all people, and it was very important that we do that. And none of us ever thought it wasn't worth it.
72-year-old Fred Norton says it's important to remember D-Day, June 6th, 1944. Norton was one of 370,000 soldiers and sailors aboard Allied ships on D-Day, the day the Allies began the push to drive the German army out of France. Norton kept a diary of those events 50 years ago, and he shared those recollections with Lori Harosa. He wasn't supposed to keep a diary during wartime. He cheated a little bit.
He sure did, but we're lucky that he cheated a little bit. Sailors and soldiers who were in combat were not allowed to keep diaries in case they should fall into the enemy's hands. But Fred Norton took a chance, and he wrote in a diary every night during 1944. And now, on the 50th anniversary of D-Day, Norton's diary and photo albums spark memories. Rhythm waves of the English Channel carry waves of memory for 72-year-old Fred Norton.
This was the last thing we saw as we left the States, and I've always had a picture of it.
With the Statue of Liberty in his mind, Fred Norton would become a player in an event that would bring freedom to France.
This is from my diary of 1944.
In June of 1944, Norton was a 23-year-old soldier who wrote in his diary every night.
June 1st, 1944. The heading at the top says, "The troops came aboard." I guess this is the real thing. 400 Army men and 200 of us sailors have amphibious docks, cranes, trailers, jeeps, and so forth.
Norton had no idea his diary would document history.
On June 2nd, a life photographer came aboard. Very crowded aboard ship now. We've been studying maps of the beaches.
The Life magazine photographs showed soldiers on Norton's ship, the LST-317, preparing for the D-Day invasion. It also gave Norton's mother a comforting message.
That's how she found out that where we were, and that at that particular point we were okay. June 4th. We're underway at 3:45 for France. This was my birthday. I was 23 years old. Then we've just been advised that D-Day has been postponed one day because of the bad weather. So we went back into port. June 5th now, at 3:45, underway for France, condition 2. June 6th, this is D-Day, invasion of France, Omaha Beach. H hour was 6:10. We could see the planes bombing the beaches from 11:30 last night on. A lot of our planes, bombers and fighters, all over. No German planes. Boy, you should see the ships going into the beach, 1 million. We are about 10 minutes out of, our battleships started firing over our heads at the beaches.
Norton wrote D-Day was not about glorious, glamorous war heroes, but about young soldiers, hurt and pain.
June 13th. We anchored at 9:30. 2 planes shot down and burned. 1 ship in convoy was sunk, British unloaded, and then moved in close and took on casualties. The Army doctors worked all night dressing and operating. Saw one fellow with a belly wound. Why doesn't this war end?
More than 10,000 American soldiers died during the D-Day invasion. D-Day was the first step toward freeing France from the German occupation. We will have a special 9 News program, D-Day, called The Day That Changed the World, this Friday, May 27th at 8:30 at night. Photographer John Kurt and I traveled to France, and we went with a Colorado pilot, and we'll have more about that pilot in that special ad.
Fred Norton was a sailor. Now, did you get some recollections from people in other services that had different duties?
We sure did. We talked to Senator Al Meiklejohn, who is now a state senator, but 50 years ago on D-Day, Meiklejohn flew a B-17 bomber, and that is tomorrow night on 9 News at 5.
I think the figure about the number of Americans who died in that invasion, that has to be the recollection that stays in so many people's minds, because it was just going on all around them.
Oh, and if you go to the cemetery, rows and rows of, I mean, it's really touching.
Thanks, Lori.
Sure.